I'll call the regular city highways council meeting of Monday, August 14th, 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Scott.
Here.
Bogart.
Here.
Grams. Here. Kramer. Zins.
Here. Everybody can stand for the meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Yeah, next item is the consent agenda. Everybody had a chance to look that over? And if so, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Borgard, is there support?
All support.
Supported by Councilor Grams. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Guest and citizen? Okay. Reports from staff and Administrator Lyman.
The budgets went out to department heads to review, and so I will be emailing members of the council to set up those budget meetings. With a list of dates like I typically do. We will probably have 2 to 4 over the month of September. The budget is due into the state by September 30th. So we have until that date to get it done. That's all today.
Thank you. Recreational Director West.
Golf course continues to be very busy. Good. I'm looking at firing up that ice plant the end of August to get ready. First on ice thing is September 17th, I believe. So that'll be fired up the end of August. Other than that, that's about it.
All right, thank you. Public Utilities Director Jake.
All right, well, the new emergency generator was installed at the wastewater plant, so that's really no more worrying every time a thunderstorm rolls through. Power outages. We're gonna be having sludge haulers coming in mid to end of September, with road shut down out there in the long run, it's taking Josh to get sludge out to the fields. We're gonna have to have them haul one more time this year, so I'll be reaching out to the lines, let them know that's happening. It's gonna be weather dependent on whether it's mid-September or end of September. Had 3 fire hydrants replaced here in town, one at 416 Andover, one at 218 Brandon, and one at the corner of Elmwood and Brandon. Elmwood and Brandon needed to be done because that one was broken, unable to be repaired. The other 2 were old ones, changing out the old Iowa hydrants for the new Pacer hydrants that we've been using throughout town. And this is all part of that, I believe, is the American Rescue Act funds that we requested a couple of council meetings ago. So the only thing extra coming out of that will be curb and gutter and sidewalk where it needs to be replaced. So I'll talk to Becky about where we should pull any funds out of, if we can still request an American Rescue Act plan. Or if we can, or if I just pull it out of my budget, if I do a room in my budget for that. They paved at the wastewater plant and the fencing crew is working to put the new fence up. So right now we'll be calling the gate, but that should be going up shortly. Once both gates are installed, we'll be reaching out to any sludge haulers that potentially want to dump at our facility. We're gonna come up with a contract for them to sign if they want it out, they go fill out the contract, and we're gonna start collecting revenue for every 1,000 gallons they dump. So we'll be able to control it a little bit. The key they'll receive will only get it in the first gate, which will only give them access to that dumping area. It won't give them access to the rest of the facilities, so the rest of the facility will be secured. So I think that's all we got right now.
Okay, thank you. City Attorney Brumfield.
Mayor and council, just one thing on the possible purchase of a full building.
I had emailed with the contact person there about a purchase agreement, so we get that approved and they haven't sent one over, so I'm just gonna go ahead, this week and I have one that I started here, I'll get a purchase, at least a proposed purchase agreement over to them. And then they can let us know if it's in order and then. So we should have a, proposed purchase agreement on the next meeting. Okay, go ahead with that purchase.
Thank you. Counselor Graham,
Nothing to report.
Counselor Border,
Nothing there.
Counselor Scott, nothing to report. Yeah, I have nothing. Old business. 10.1 resolution 2023-019 authorizing conveyance of real estate highway 666 storage lot G and H.
These 4 resolutions are for the storage lots out on Highway 666. The purchase agreements have all been signed and the attorney's office duties that for us. They'll be paid for once we approve the deeds.
We'll do each one separately, so the first one is 2023-019. Is there a motion to approve? These are lots G and H.
I'll make that one.
Motion made by Council Border, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next resolution, 2023-020. Is for lots D, E, and F. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Scott, there's support.
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Beauregard. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And 4, resolution 2023-022. Oh, which one? Yeah. 2023-021, lots A, B, and C. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support?
I'll support that.
Supported by Councilor Scott. You guys can fight it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 10-4, resolution 2023-022, that's lots L and J, I and J. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Border, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Graham, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. 10-5 is the RFP for White Salt Club Manager position.
The deadline for the clubhouse manager was Friday at 11:30. We did receive 1 application. I'm not sure if we has any input on this, or if you wanted to set up interviews, we could do that as well. The personnel committee can interview with myself and Director West. We'll mark this as information for right now.
Okay, and then you'll work on the date.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business, 11-1. Pay request. Number 35 from Bidder Construction, an amount of $293,034 for the wastewater treatment facility project. Jacob, you got anything to add on this?
Everything looks good on there, as I said, the generator got put in, we got new LED lights where we needed them. The first layer of the pavement has been put on, the digester boxes have been rehabilitated, those needed it that, I'm glad to see that. Yeah, it's all looks fine to me.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Motion made by Counselor Scott, is there support?
What's the part?
Supported by Counselor Graham. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And Counselor Graham, prefer to abstain. Okay, 11-2, pay request number 12. From Lindsay Enterprises, in the amount of $29,220.07. For Fisherman's Point Bathhouse Project.
So the pay request submitted by the contractor is actually for an amount higher than that. However, amounts have been held as we're looking for clarification. The inspector had some additional questions on those. So the amount you're approving tonight is not for the entire pay request submitted by the contractor, which the contractor is aware of, and they will resubmit for next week. Once the items are fixed.
Is there a motion to approve pay request number 12? Take that one. Motion made by Council Borger, support. I'll support that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11-3, resolution 2023-023, donation from the Water Carnival Committee.
So the arts and crafts float won the parade, and so we can't accept a winning like that, but the Water Carnival Committee instead chose to donate those funds to the arts and crafts supplies for next year. So those funds will just be issued, Water Carnival will be issued a receipt for those, and those funds will be put in to save for arts and crafts for next year.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Motion made by Councilor Scott, your support. Support by Council Borger, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-4, resolution 2023-024, authorizing execution of easement.
We've had some back and forth with the Department of Labor on the Fisherman's Point Bathhouse project. Jake can probably describe it a little more eloquently than I can, but a part that is in the ground and does not meet their standard, and since it's outside of our utility easement, we have to then dig it up and fix it. But guess what, if we put it inside our utility easement, then we don't have to. So this is essentially making that part of our utility easement. It doesn't affect the operation of it at all. And from my understanding, the Department of Labor can't even tell us what part they want us to replace. So this is just making that part of our utility easements.
This is similar to a few years back, we were having that issue when we had the new sewer put in out there, and the guy was coming back at us, wanting us to dig it back up, the inspector. So we put the easement in there, because we didn't feel it was necessary, same thing going on here, review the quality of the materials put in. I think they're fine. Clearly, City of Hibbing thinks they're fine, as they've used similar stuff for connections in some of their buildings. I say we just put the easement in and be done with it, but that's my advice.
All right, thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, for support. I'll support that. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-5, Ranger ATV Snowmobile Club. SCH invoice in the amount of $9,265 for the Moose 7 Beavers Trail, Wabash, Skyway.
You're passed through on these invoices, and so we approve them, and then we are reimbursed through the state legislature.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Counselor Scott, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Graham, is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-6, Ranger ATV Snowmobile Club, SEH invoice in the amount of $9,584 to the Moose 7 Beavers Trail to Sky Gold.
Same thing, and here to Scott.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Counselor Graham, is there support? Supported by Counselor Scott. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-7 is the request from Dan Darbo to transfer his liquor license on 8/26/2023 to the community building. And on 10/7/2023 to the White Lakes Arena. Is there a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Motion made by Counselor Borgard, is there support? I'll support that. Supported by Counselor Scott. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-8. Supplemental information regarding the spring cleanup. And I'm just gonna read this on 8/8/82/2023, Public Works Director Snetzinger and City Administrator Lamb met with Mr. Gardner with Muscogee Sanitation regarding the spring cleanup. A significant increase in items was noted this year. On 5/26/2021, there were 23.25 hours of labor. And tipping pounds were 37,502. On 6/30, there were 30 hours of labor. And there was 58,290 tipping pounds. On 6/30/2023, there was 51 hours of labor. And there were 82,090 tipping pounds. In 2023, the council budgeted $5,000 for the spring cleanup. East Muscogee sanitation cost was $5,540.83. And the city's cost include $1,000 in additional tipping fees and $12,500 in wages. These costs are not sustainable for the program. And the recommendation is to only allow items placed in bags to be picked up during trash pickup and to no longer accept appliances. East Muscogee Sanitation does provide additional services for residents, including picking up and removing appliances, mattresses, and other large items, along with dumpster delivery and removal. So this information is coming back to us so that we know that going forward, it was substantially more than last year. I don't have big figures from last year, Becky, do you?
I did not calculate those, but you can see in East Muscogee Sanitations that the labor almost doubled. The poundage increased by about 30,000 pounds. So, like mentioned in the supplemental information, this is not sustainable for us to continue to afford to do. And so Jamie, Kenny and I discussed it, and we think limiting trash must be in bags and no longer accepting appliances, because there is that service that is provided, would be a way to help narrow the scope of this program.
Appliances constitute solar.
Fridges, washing machines, freezers, anything like that, East Muscogee Safe Sanitation will come to your home and remove those items.
At a cost,
Yes,
and we currently do it for free.
it's not free. It costs us.
Well, for residents.
residents do not pay, they pay through their taxes.
Right. But obviously, if we continue on the pace we were at and the amount that's going out there. Obviously, our costs are going up and the residents' costs are gonna go up in tax. So either we cut back on. Don't do it every year, maybe do it every other year, or do what we suggested here, limited to certain items. You know, one of the things that when this started was because a lot of people didn't have the resources or the ability to get some of these big, large items. They either didn't have a trailer, didn't physically couldn't do it, but this is the service that is provided. If somebody needs it, they can pay for it. And it's not on all the residents of the city, it's on the individuals and for the large ticket items that we're paying a large amount in a lot of hours, additional hours. So, I mean, we, from the first year in 2021, it was 23.25, and like Becky said, it's almost double. It was 51 hours of labor.
How long have we been doing this for?
It's been happening for quite a while. Jamie hasn't owned the company. He owned it beginning of 2021, and so that's when my road records started for it. But a spring cleanup has happened in the communities for many years. Traditionally, it's yard waste and brush.
And $12,000 in wages is that for public utilities or?
Public Works, and then the summer helps, and Jim Armstrong, the utility person, also does.
And they do that during their workday?
Yeah.
So I guess it's not an additional $12,000 from taxpayers, it's just coming through, public works during their workday.
Right, but then that's job for other jobs if we can't get done.
Right, but I mean, they have all year to plan that out, where it's what, 3 days,
It took them 7 days this year.
7 days? Well, I guess it's just a matter of, I don't know, problem solving and time management, I suppose. In trying to, I don't know, I guess problem solving too, like what Dave said, just cutting down on maybe the amount of plants that people can put out. I guess my fear is just like, I don't know, from a public health standpoint, with like firefighting, kind of these residents who don't have the money or income to have east and south sanitation over their houses and remove all these big items that they're just gonna leave them in their houses. I don't know, we kind of need to like hoarding situation, just increases the risk of like fires in their houses, I don't know. And if there's a fire that firefighters may be paid, so I guess that comes from taxpayers too. I don't know.
You'll find that those homes are typically not the ones who take advantage.
Well, this is something that we can discuss at budget time because obviously we budgeted for it, so. This is just more or less informational. What the public, I mean, obviously, if you drove around the week that this was going on. I saw just about every item you could imagine out on the curbs. And people were definitely taking advantage of it, and I would hope that a lot of things that have been sitting around for years that people want to get rid of, I certainly think they did this year. So, I think it's good for the residents, I think it's good for the city. But is it sustainable, you know? I guess that maybe look at doing it every other year or reducing like they're talking here. Or we don't accept appliances anymore, because when it first started, it was just brush, leaves, things like that. That was something that Public Works did, and then it got to be where we started accepting other items, washers, dryers, you know, because people, that was the feedback that we were getting at the time, was there were a lot of individuals that didn't have the resources to get those things out of their homes or to the dumps.
And I think it was trying to help with blight issues too.
Right.
I think people had a lot of junk in their homes or yards, but this was a chance they could try to get rid of it so there wasn't so much blight. I think it's a good program. I utilize it myself, but do I need to? No, I'm capable of going to the dump on my own, bringing my own garbage, but I have heard a lot of people say, why have a rummage sale, or why go to the dump when I can just wait for the city, and they'll do it for me. So I like the program, but I think it does need some revision, because I think people are just using it now because they can, not because they're not capable of doing it themselves.
Okay, we'll obviously look at this, when we go over the budget for next year. And then, 11.9, discussion regarding adult use cannabis.
So Mitch and I discussed this, and then Stuart also asked for it to be on the agenda. Not entirely sure which direction the council wants to take. If you're looking for my recommendation, it's to go with a ban on use in public places, and then wait to see what the State Department does. Going from there, there won't be any licensed facilities until 25 or 24, 25, 26 in that range as of right now. You may want to take action for public consumption at this time.
Yeah, some cities have already passed, just a very standard ordinance, just basically saying that use of cannabis is within municipal boundaries, use of cannabis is prohibited in public places. You know, you don't have somebody out in a public park somewhere using cannabis, so. Again, it's illegal now, people are growing it on their own, first you go up to the Red Lake, now they put a dispensary up there, that is the only dispensary in Minnesota. It can be purchased over the counter now and be legally possessed in Minnesota, if you go up Red Lake and buy it, or if you grow it yourself. So people can possess it legally, they can have it in their own home, they can use it. They can actually be possessing a certain quantity on them, but they can't use it in a public place, but to truly have that enforceable, you should have an ordinance or a code provision on the books that says it's prohibited, and then it's just, if they violate that, if somebody's in a public park using cannabis, then they're just cited for a petty misdemeanor.
Forms of cannabis, smoking levels, all.
THC products are under a different law.
Yeah,
So like edible and drink products are a different law. This would be adult use cannabis, which is the marijuana.
So Mitch, when these other cities that you're aware of that have already enacted ordinances.
Babbitt is the only line Babbitt has, and I'm trying to think it's Power Dead, but the Babbitt would be drafted, so David, that, it's time to do that.
I don't know if it was passed there or not, but I know they were voting on it.
Yeah. So, because it just went into effect on August 1st, so you're not too far behind the curve here.
And some of the things I've heard, were that the state obviously made it legal, but they didn't really get any guidance for the how to follow through on anything on some. The council wants to have something drafted up by Mitch.
Yeah, I guess I would want to see people down at the beach or the water tower park, or, there's a bunch of kids or juveniles around partaking in it.
Is that something that Mitch would draft up?
Yes.
Or is it something we'd have to go through the finance on?
No, Mitch can draft it.
Okay.
You have to
So.
volunteer.
That's, I already have. Here's the, I will have to just put it somewhere in city code,
Yeah.
the appropriate section of city code. It's easy to do.
So we need a motion, for Mitch
To direct him.
direct him. All right, is there a motion to direct Mitch to draft an ordinance for public use? And
I'll make that one.
a motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support? Or by Councilor Beauregard. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else coming before the council? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Councilor Scott, support,
I'll support.
supported by Councilor Graham. All those in favor?